The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, UNU Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
I'm a big fish in a small pond, got my days free and the nights long. I create my own reality, who I am is fine with me. As famous as I wanna be, who I am is fine with me. It's who I am, it's who I am.
Hi everybody, it's Maria from What's the Story with Maria. How's it going? What an exciting show we have for you. So first of all, happy Tuesday after Thanksgiving. You know it's my favorite holiday. And let's stay grateful, shall we? And as we come into the holidays, I want to wish everybody a wonderful, warm, loving holiday season. Okay, so tonight, how exciting is this? This is a first. And what is the first about it? I've never had more than 2 guests on at the same time. We have 3 guests on. Why? Because they come as a trio. I love it. And why? Because they are, I knew Judy. I've known Judy for years and years. And I just met Christina a few weeks ago when Darcy Blakesley, who was on the show, was running the marathon. After the marathon, we had like a little party Judy did. And that's when I met Christina. And Judy showed me this project that they were working on, and I was blown away. I really was. It's true. And then I haven't, tonight's the first time I've met Tiffany, but I had the pleasure of seeing Tiffany on camera. Let me just say hello to some people coming in. So I'll tell you in a minute. First, let me say hello. We have Herman Velez. Hi, Herman. Herman is the one of the security people downtown. And Hugo Lopez. Hi, Hugo. He's my old super son. Oh. Chris DePiro is my friend. He was on our first show. He's a great video guy. And also he's single. So I don't know, girls, if you know Chris, but and he's a filmmaker. Right. Jason Peck has joined us. Okay. So, all right. So I'm at Judy's and I meet Christina and Judy says, oh yeah, we're working on this project and blah, blah, blah. And I'd seen stills of it on Facebook. So, and she showed me the sizzler. How long is the sizzler?
5 minutes.
Yeah. 5 minutes. Okay, so what's a sizzler, you say, right? So who wants to tell me what a sizzler is? Doesn't matter.
It's a concept video that you create when you're trying to pitch a project so that people can kind of get an idea of what the show's like, the tone, all that good stuff.
And nobody wants to read a whole script anymore.
Right.
So you have to create a little short video, and then they want to read the script.
And it's kind of like just a little synopsis of, you give a little bit of each character. Like, that's what I saw. When I watched it, what I was impressed with visually, it's really good. It's shot really well, I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it didn't look like a promo to me. It looked like something that I would be watching every week and want to be watching. So
that's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. So it pulled me right in, and I like that there was a little bit. It gave me a little tiny bit of each character, so that I was like, well, wait, what's going to happen now? And that's what I loved about it. So. I know what I saw, but I would like you folks to tell me what. First of all, let me check with Chris DePiro because he's my guy. Chris, how does the sound? Everybody, the sound is good, right? Because we were having some sound issues. If the sound goes off at any point, jump in there, guys. Okay, you are our ears tonight. All right. So, who wants to just? First of all, I'm interested in. First of all, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I can't wait for it to actually happen so everyone can watch this. It's called TikTok. And how would you describe it? Whoever wants to, I mean, I can ask.
It's 3 women living in New York City in their mid-30s that have to figure out if they're going to have a baby or not because the biological clock is ticking.
Hence TikTok, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so when I for a split second, maybe like a second and a half, I thought, oh, this is Sex and the City. And my heart jumped and I thought, I love that show. Although it wasn't my favorite, but I loved it. And I thought, oh, this is like that, but wait a minute. And then it had this whole other tier. And what I loved that it was reminiscent of it in the fact that it's friends, they all know each other, they have these separate lives, but they come together. And so I miss that. I miss that there's something that talks about the New York girl, the New York woman, the New York, are we represented out there? And I love New York anyway. So I loved that. But then when it took us to that whole other tier, now this is within the Sizzler. So in 5 minutes I got that it was these friendships and yet another tier. Now they're all, oh, wait a minute. They all have different feelings about having a baby and that biological clock ticking, right? So, would you say that describes it?
Yeah. No, you did a pretty good job.
Okay, well, that's what I'm just saying. What I saw.
Yeah, and that's very flattering for you to say too. We also, I think Sex and the City was focused on women. It was like the first female-driven comedy series. Right. So we're very flattered to be compared to that because, again, we are a female-driven series as well. That tackles issues that women go through and relationships takes place in New York City. Right. So there are similarities. It's sort of the next chapter.
Right. Perhaps. Yeah, but now, so we talked about this a little bit before. So does that bother you when if someone would say, "Oh, it's like Sex and the City"? What's the feeling you get when someone compares it to that?
Well, I think at least from what I've experienced is a lot of people go to that first as far as saying, "Oh, it's like Sex and the City." And then when we delve a little more into it and talk about, this is the topics that we hit on, and these are how the relationships are different, and how we explore what the city is like in a different way. There's a lot of good reception that we get on, like, I want to know more. I will say that occasionally it seems when a man has said, "Oh, like Sex and the City," and we're like, "Oh no, it's not." We don't get as far. Yeah. That's not every man. We don't know.
But okay, but this is great.
There's more. I think women are interested. Yeah. Initially interested, and it's not necessarily an instinctual thing that a guy is going to be like, "Yeah, I want to watch that show." Because
of the baby part of it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that Sex and the City really tackled, first of all, it was absolutely like the first female-driven in the city. These girls are single. They have their own lives. It's about how women also enjoy sex, not just men, as it turns out. Right. And that was extremely ahead of its time. And it put sort of this whole girlfriend story on the map. So it's very natural for people to compare it to that because we're also girlfriends in the city and we also talk about sex. Right. What's, I think, different, and to Judy's point, is that what we're really trying to tackle is that there is this clock that is physical, that is with women and not with men. Men do not have the same clock. Men can have babies until they're like 100 years old.
70, actually. Yeah. I mean, I know they can't 100, but I think the oldest man that famous man that I knew was Tony Randall. I think he was 70, something like that. So you're absolutely right.
Do their thing. They can wash it off and they can put it in the woman. Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of things.
I like the way you washed it off and put it in there.
It's like they're doing dishes. Right. Yeah, they're getting rid of all the little... hi, Darcy Blakely.
There's Darcy. Hi, Darcy.
Yes, Darcy. Hi, Darcy.
Darcy started all this,
It all goes back to Darcy.
Everything. We love Darcy. So Darcy and Judy were roommates.
Hosted us when we went to LA last fall for a TikTok trip where we were doing a lot of connections. And
what may I interrupt for a second? Kristen Pierre said, "I'm very clean." Chris, thank you. So Chris has washed it off.
Oh my goodness!
And is very clean.
Continuously washed.
Yes.
What was that gesture you just?
Well, I like that.
You washing.
And listen, girls, you would actually really like Chris. He's very cute. He's incredibly funny. He's super smart. He teaches and he's a filmmaker. So
okay, and he's single apparently.
Yes, he is single. Are you single, Chris? Yes, he is single. There he is. Okay. Yes, he is single. Oh, all right.
And he has clean sperm.
Thank God.
Everything my mother wants for me.
That's nice to know.
Love on Facebook.
Yes. All right. So now. So it's the whole TikTok, your biological clock is ticking. So I think the difference between men and women, as we kind of demonstrated with this. We know that. But with this particular thing is sense of urgency.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay, so a man up until 70 can father a child.
Yeah.
A woman probably maybe up until 44, and that's really like the ceiling.
Yeah, that's the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Right.
But for some of them, it's only like 34.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
There's a sense of there's a feeling of unknown. Right.
Yeah.
There's that mystery, and I didn't believe in the biological clock. Not that I didn't believe. It's just that my life was different, and I never really wanted to have a baby. And people said to me, "Oh no, but your clock's going to tick." I said, "No." And then it happened. It was crazy, out of the blue, and it was right at 36. And I was in a relationship, but not in a relationship that I would have furthered that or even thought about it. I wasn't financially anywhere near where I thought I needed to be. And all of a sudden, I got this sense of sadness, this deep sense of sadness. And then my sister was pregnant, and she said, my sister was very funny off the cuff. She said, "Don't worry, it'll be your baby. You can even name it." She was very it was her second one, and she was kind of over it. She said, "I'll let you name the baby. It'll be your baby."
She didn't want it.
Yeah, she was just tired. And so she let me name my niece. My second niece was Angelica Grace, who I love now. She's 20.
I love Angelica Grace.
Yeah, she's wonderful. And you know what? Once the baby was born, she actually looked just like me as a baby. And we're incredible friends. And it passed.
Yeah, that's great.
But it did exist. And I know that what you folks are talking about, because it does exist.
And it's not to say that every single woman wants to have a child.
Right.
That's right.
But every single woman,
Has to
whether
ask the
she
question.
she has to ask, she doesn't have to, but if she doesn't ask the question, it may no longer be her question to ask.
Wow,
That's
that's a really good
At a
point.
certain point, the option is no longer yours.
That's exactly
Right.
right.
And to be okay with whatever your choice was, or if you don't realize your choice was made for you, are you okay with that?
Wow.
Right.
These are really
so
good
it
points.
gets kind of deep. I mean, it's comedy. It's hilarious.
No, it is actually. It's
deep
very
fun,
funny.
But
But
it's
Well, maybe.
Well, sex and vaginas are just funny, naturally.
Right.
So,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
the comedy's built right in.
Yeah, but I think guy parts are funny too.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
There are
well,
guy parts in our
listen-
and you need
You
guy
need
parts in
guy
order to
parts
have the
in
girl
order to
parts
have
work.
Right. So, guys, thanks for your parts. We appreciate those. As they would say in Massachusetts, thanks for the parts. So let me see. We have JP Perot. Hi, JP. Larry Temple. Martin Marushak. Mike Cohen. John Polcari. Has joined us. Thank you, everybody. So we're talking about TikTok, the comedy series, written, right? Created, and produced by these three young ladies. And say your names again one at a time so we can hear who you are.
I'm Christina Doikit.
I'm Tiffany Hodges.
And I'm Judy Jerome.
Okay, so remember those names. Remember them and just say, "Oh my God, that's that series. Remember Maria had them on her show." What we're going to do after the show is we're going to attach the Sizzler promo.
The short one.
The short one. Yeah, the teaser. We're going to attach it after the video is finished and we save it. Go to our pages and it'll be attached so you can actually see it. And it's really good. Now, how many episodes have you filmed?
We just filmed the
pilot?
Just the 5-minute video that we did.
Okay, so when do you start with the rest of it?
That's what we would love, some beautiful production
okay. And who would you send this to?
We're in the process of pitching it to networks. And
Is that how it
companies.
goes? You pitch it first,
yeah,
right?
you pitch it. And then it gets bought, and then you develop it, and then you start
So you don't
shoot
shoot per se like 6 episodes yourself.
Right. This is not a web series. Just
oh,
to get
good.
clear,
I'm glad.
Like a lot of people fake series, and we're watching Facebook Live, and this is the internet. So of course it's a web series. This is not
actual
a web
television.
Series. This is actually our goal is for it to be a half-hour comedy on television
or cable television, maybe like HBO or Showtime,
Netflix, Amazon, Hulu.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're out there, and we do have friends out there, right? So if you work for HBO, Showtime, Netflix, Amazon, and you want to get a hold of this Sizzler and teaser, and you can't, just get a hold of me, and I will get a hold of the girls. Just because we do have people out there.
Or you can go to TikTokseries.com.
Great, excellent.
There is a contact us button, and also on the web series it gives more information
on
about
the website.
Wonderful.
On the website. Sorry, guys.
So say that again. TikTok.
TikTokseries.com.
Yeah, you'll get information about the show. You'll know how to contact us. And where we are right now in the process, it's not like we're at the beginning. We've actually done a lot of work. We have an excellent pilot. The script actually got placed in the Austin Film Festival this year.
What?
Yep. And
wow.
in the top 20% of all the scripts that were submitted, which I think there was like 8,000 of them.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And then they also did a live reading of the script, which was super great.
And it was only one of six projects that were selected to have the live reading.
That's right.
Really?
So we got to read it live in Austin.
Standing room only.
That's amazing.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, so we have gotten some traction with the pilot. We have, we've submitted it to several people that are looking at it right now that hopefully will represent us and bring us into the right rooms.
Okay.
But we're also continuing to write. So we also have a series arc, a first season arc, and we're continuing to write episodes while we're going through this shopping.
So what you just said, so series arc would be like if you were looking at 6 episodes, right?
Right.
So what is each, if you don't know what that is, and you don't have to know what that is, unless you're a writer, you probably would know what that is. So an arc for a series is the character's journey, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's conflicts in there and challenges and all kinds of different things. Expose, exploration, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you want to? Did I cover it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. So the series has an arc because whenever you watch a whole series, like for example, Mad Men, right, is really about Don Draper and his story. So he starts out one way, and by the end of the series, he ends up another way, right? So that would be a series arc. Then a season arc would be like just in season 1, Don Draper starts out one way and ends another way. So that's what we mean by arc. And in our series, it's an ensemble piece, not unlike Sex and the City, and it's about all 3 of us. So all 3 of us have arcs that we're going through with our biological clock from one point to another. And each one of us has very different conflicts and very different issues around it, and
I think
want different things.
Right, and that's what's so exciting about this series, at least for me, as we develop it, is that it explores many different experiences that women could potentially have. So it's not just a woman that wants a baby and that's all she wants.
Right.
It's someone who may not want a baby.
Right.
And may find herself with a baby. Someone who can't have a baby.
Wow.
Someone who, doesn't know she wants a baby.
Right.
So
or someone like
all different things.
I know with when I was growing up, it was we used to joke about this in my family. We'd be like, when you have a boyfriend, that would be the first question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then you'd have to get through that hurdle, and then if you did have a boyfriend, then when you're getting married, and then when you had that done, right away, it's almost like you don't even get your honeymoon. Yeah. So when are you having a baby? And then are you going to have another baby? And people are always asking these questions, and I found them. My life was very different, and then I moved away, and I had my own separate life. But for my cousins that stayed behind, I remember having these conversations like, God, they just don't leave you alone. It's relentless. Yeah. So do you find that? Okay. Okay.
I think that's also specific to women. I mean, I do think that men get pressure. I'm not trying to say that men are not pressured, because I know that they are, and they have their certain statuses usually, and social conditionings and all of that. So I'm not trying to negate that, but I do think that when it comes to baby making specifically, and I think it has a lot to do with the biological clock and the sense of urgency, women are pressured immediately, and there is a difference in our generation versus like even my older sister's generation or my mother's generation, where women were they used to be women's only options were like getting married and having babies. That was it, right? And then like sort of around my mother's generation, I know then it was like, oh, guess what? You can get divorced and you can have your own job and you can like create your own life. And then I know that by my generation, I feel like women started having babies later in life. Right. So that's when the clock the sense of urgency really started to come into play, because they were past their 20s.
And your decisions about it became more important, right?
That's right. And there's so many options now,
God.
right? Like now you can be a single mom, you can be a stepmom, you can adopt, you can be a foster parent.
Right.
You can
have a baby for someone else.
That's right.
Yes,
you can
that's
get a
true.
surrogate. Yeah. You can freeze your eggs and do it later.
Wow.
You can have fertility treatments done. There's so many options now. And I think that's really why we decided this is the time for this kind of show. Because this is the generation where everything is shifting. And I think that the generation after us, I guess they're the Y generation. Do we ever figure out what that generation is? They're like millennials. Y generation.
No, I think Y already happened. Well, we'll figure it out.
Happened. Now millennials are this.
Millennials are the big. But you're right. They're going to have completely different sets of challenges.
Right.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's almost like the more options you have, the more struggles you have, right?
And also there's, at least for me, there was the, well, I want to do it the right way, so I'm not going to rush it. And,
Right.
You know, oh, I'm in my 20s, I can wait, and let me find the person I want to do that with. And, you know, oh, I still have time. And then before you know it, you're at the age where it's like, well, now I actually have to figure this out.
Right.
Because I can't dilly-dally anymore. You know, like there's the, I'm going to be responsible and I'm not going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be a good person and I'm going to do it the right way. But then there's a point where you're like, but now can I do it at all? Like, should I have done it the wrong way so that I could have done it? And maybe I'm where I'm supposed to be and I should have.
Go ahead,
yeah, and we don't have, we're the first generation that's doing this, right? Yeah. So we're forging the way. We don't know what to do. We don't know what the right thing to do is, when, how soon we're supposed to do it, how late we are doing it. So other people, you know, the next generation after us will have a roadmap of what worked and what didn't work.
Wow, that's great.
And more information. So on one hand, it's exciting that we have so many options, but on the other hand, it's scary because we don't know which option is really the right option.
Yeah, we really wanted to, like, you know, Sex and the City sort of was about these women that were free, right, in New York City, and they were sort of that generation that was like, oh, guess what? We don't have to have men, and we just like having sex.
Right,
and that was awesome, and that's why we, like, love that show. But this show is really kind of taking that same sort of forging a new path with the biological clock and all the technology and everything that we have now. And it's that same Generation X lost generation where it's like, we're different than our mothers, but we still have some of the same social pressures, and we don't have any examples of how to navigate this new world. And meanwhile, like, millennials are like freezing their eggs at like 25 because they've already figured it out.
Well,
like, they went on the internet and they did the research and they figured that out. Well, at 25, when we were 25, we didn't have that option.
Let me just interrupt you for 1 second. Chris DePiero put the TikTokseries.com already on.
Oh, great.
Yay. Thank you, Chris. So we can, he's already put it on there. So once, you know, you can check that out. Jill Anderson, who's a friend of mine, she actually has 2 beautiful daughters. Aww. She's out in Morristown. And she said, I wish our biological clocks adjusted to the 21st century.
Yes, that's a
really
great
point.
Mentally, to have a baby that your body would also be ready at that point.
Right. Yes. Well, that's that whole, you know, youth is wasted on the young thing.
Yes.
By the time you fit, right? It's true. So thank you, Jill. Try explaining to your 12-year-old why she has to go through puberty when the advocate waiting 30 for kids. Okay, so you know there's a lot you're teaching your daughters too. So this is a really good point that Jill is making. So and you see already people are engaged because this is the kind of amazing and guys too. You know, like I love that there are guys that are actually watching this and listening.
No, and we've had the great responses from men that we've had read the pilot or read the pilot.
What are some of the responses?
Or we're in the audience.
From the men.
Well, one guy at the reading said, "Why is this not on TV yet?" And we're like,
right, good, exactly.
Yeah, but they have their own biological clock too, so. It's,
and I think that they think that we're all just baby crazy. Like, not okay. I'm not sorry. I'm generalizing men. Okay, some men, not all. But some men think that women are just baby crazy. Like, oh, if I get a girlfriend in her 30s, she's just going to be baby crazy. And we've had several men be like, oh, I get it now. Like, it's an actual, there is really a time limit to it. And so sometimes women do freak out in their 30s because
or not freak out, but weird. like when a woman's like, well, I'd like to know where this is going. It's not necessarily to. I don't think I ever meant like, so are you going to marry me?
Right.
But it was more like, do you want children in your life?
Right.
Is that something?
Well, Judy, you said it earlier. See, a lot of people are coming in liking and all that. So
don't waste my time, then. That's what we're really saying. Well, please don't waste my time.
And
I won't waste yours.
Like, I think here's the problem. I'm not going to call anything a problem. Here's the challenge. I think. Well, when you're in your 20s and you said this, you're just having fun. I've always said
Yeah.
your 20s are about having fun, and please do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely. Have a
Enjoy
lot of
yourself
fun.
because otherwise you'll want to retract and go back. So have fun, but be careful, of course. Now, what
Have fun
happened?
with condoms.
Wrap it
Right.
up.
Always
Wrap
use
it up.
condoms.
Yes.
What you said, Judy, was like then you get to this point, you're coming over this cliff, and you're like, oh God, now what?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to figure out in like 4 to 6 years, right?
Yes.
Kind of have that window.
Yeah. Yes.
So now, guys and girls or whatever, when you're in your 30s, or you're heading towards your 40s, and that's why dating becomes more complicated,
Yeah.
and relationships, because perhaps men go into it with their hearts open and eyes open, but because they don't have the sense of, you girls are planning for the entire, you have to like have the foreshadowing, or the what's the word I'm looking for? You have to kind of plan the whole thing without really saying,
Right.
listen, I'm planning this, by the way.
For the entire human race. Essentially is what it comes down to. I mean,
I
come
mean,
on.
it's a lot of
Really
pressure.
out
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of, okay, so now I want to go to this question, because let me just look at the time. Let's check our time, how we're doing, because it flies by.
9:30.
9:30, okay, so now I want to ask, first of all, how you three know each other before this, how you met, and then how you came as friends to decide we should do this.
Yeah.
Who wants to tell us?
Well, I'll start it,
You
and then
start
there's
the
a certain point where you jump in and make it
Okay.
real funny. We get asked this a lot.
Okay.
We should actually.
No,
write
but it's
this out.
interesting.
I know, it'd be great. So we were in an artist collective together.
And what is that for people that don't know?
Yeah, so it was a group of actors, directors, and writers that met once a week. And the writers would bring in work that they were tweaking, and the actors would read it, and directors would play with it, and actors would sometimes bring in audition material and try it out. So it was a very supportive, collaborative environment. And so we were mainly actors in that group. Tiffany brought in some writing. We dabbled in other things as well, and became friendly through the workshop, and then started going out after the workshop now and again and socializing, and then just kind of had girl crushes on each other.
Why not?
And so...
Well, let me stop you for a minute.
Yeah.
I find, and this goes back to anything, did you know that when the chakra for sexuality and creativity is the same chakra?
I did not know that.
Really?
Yes,
That
you
makes
have
a
like...
lot of
That makes a lot of
sense.
sense.
That's
Right. That's why when you're doing a show sometimes with someone, you're on tour, all of a sudden you have these show, what do they call it? Show romances?
Showman.
Showmance, right, things like that. So I think I would imagine the same thing would happen when you're working on whether you know each other or not, whether you're straight, gay, whether you're guys, girls, when you're working creatively with someone, that chakra is activated.
Well, chemistry is chemistry, right? I mean,
It
and I think,
doesn't matter where.
yeah, and I think I know we got cast in this script together where we're playing like girlfriends in a hair salon or something.
Yes,
And like
it was so funny.
we just made each other laugh, and we just thought we were so funny. And then it was like, let's go drinking, because that's what you do after you find chemistry with somebody on stage. And a few glasses of wine later, we just sort of or a lot of glasses of wine later, we just sort of discovered that we were all in this specific time in our life, but we were looking at it from different perspectives, and we had different romances going on and relationships going on.
Wow.
And that's when I originally just got this idea of like, well, let's write a little short film about like three ladies that, are like going through this biological clock thing. Like that could be fun. And it was literally just why not? And
now let me
for the group.
Yeah, it'll just be fun. Now let me ask you, because you all talked about, you mentioned that you all talked about your lives and what was happening. Are your characters in TikTok autobiographical in some way, in a lot of ways, in no ways?
In some ways.
I would say inspired by.
Inspired by your own experience.
I think, too, that each of us is in each character as well.
Yeah,
all three of us go into each character.
Christina brings
Okay.
and then there's some things that we did take from our own lives, and we're like, that has to go in because that's hilarious.
Right,
that thing actually was said to me, or that thing actually happened. And
now let me ask you this: going back to sense of urgency, you're doing this. You've made this teaser. You made the sizzler now, and you're working on pitching this thing. there must be a sense of urgency to that as well, because now you're in this category for these characters, right?
Yeah.
And you have to get right?
Absolutely.
The TikTok goes beyond the biological clock.
We
Life
bring up
is
in
a
the show
giant
too.
TikTok.
Do you?
Giant TikTok.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a constant. I mean, timing is everything, right? Like
Yeah.
in your life, you know, you're trying to get your career started, and you're trying to get your
Money
relationship started,
started.
and your financial stability started, and like you know, the right apartment. I mean, everything is about timing.
Right.
So absolutely, the TikTok is applied to
You
the
know what?
business part of this.
I'm actually so glad that I'm past that, because it's so, you're right, I forgot how stressful your age group is. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like I'm beyond that. So I'm well beyond it. And I'm at that age where I'm just like actually just relieved.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have to worry about, there's other things I have to worry about that are right around the corner. But so that's really interesting to go back to visit, because I'm stressed out all over again. Thank you. Okay, so I just want to say hi to some people. John Savino joined, my cousin John, Carly Bell, Richard Kowick, Carla Curley. Some of these people come on every week, so thanks for checking in on us. All right, so let me see, you're all in different places and relationships as well, right? As actors, not just characters.
Yeah, as real people.
As real people. So how does that affect what you write?
It affects it a lot.
Yeah.
It's where the good stuff comes from.
Okay, good.
Highly creative.
And how do your partners, or lack thereof, or searching for, how does that get in your way of your writing? I'm a songwriter, I tend to write best when I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
Than when I'm
Depends
happy.
on what we're writing about, for sure.
Right, and you're writing comedy, so does it work better?
You make funny out of pain.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Okay.
pain is where the funny comes
Yeah,
from.
so
it.
something that really hurt,
Yeah.
you know, like, there's a great line we have in the sizzle that isn't in the teaser, but that came from something a man said to me once, and I was horrified. But it's freaking hilarious.
Say it.
It's like the line everybody says, like, I love it when this guy says this line, because I think everybody can relate to it.
What
But
was
it
it?
actually happened to Judy.
So man, I was seeing when I was like, so what do you think might be going on here? You know, in a very, it was not a stressful way. I'm not an ultimatum or pressure type of girl. And I was like, so, you know, what do you see happening here? And I was just going, and he said, well, you know, I have a real genuine affection for you.
Wow.
And I was like, what does that mean? I was going to swear. I don't know if we're allowed to swear. What does that mean?
Right.
Your chair? Are you talking about?
Well, was that after you asked him?
I wasn't even asking.
So and
I wasn't asking to be his girlfriend. I was like, so how are you feeling about this?
Right. Wow. Well, you know what? Okay, I'm going to cut guys some slack for a minute here, because we understand our side of life. And when we get together and kibitz, oh my God, it's like electric, right? And we all, for the most part, agree and blah, blah, blah. And I have found men to be very different beings. And I spend a lot of time with men, gay and straight, in different settings. And I find that straight men don't talk about things, but they're doers. So if they care about you.
Some of them don't do it.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, they express themselves more through action than words.
Yeah. Some of them don't.
But some of them don't. Okay. I also have a different agenda. You know, I'm not expecting much from them. I don't, I'm very independent. I have my guy friends. We watch sports together. We talk about whatever we talk about. But I'm not hanging on, does he love me? Is he going to change my life? Is it, so it's my investment is different.
Yeah.
So I think that matters too.
Absolutely.
But I do find, because I talk to straight men a lot, and especially guys more your age, and I think that they feel for lots of times misunderstood as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's what I was saying. Like I was kind of shocked at some of the things that they had to say, but they're doers. And even like I know people my dad's age, they may not say, hey, I think what you're doing is wonderful and I'm really proud of you. Instead, they might have a picture of you in their office that you didn't know they had on their desk, and you're like, really? You know, things like that, or they may just pick up a check somewhere, and you're like, well, you don't have to do that, but that's their way of saying, well, it is something I can do. So
I think it comes down to like social conditioning too, right? Like, you know, just like we're conditioned to sort of, you know, think about all of the feelings and all the emotions involved. They're sort of conditioned often, maybe not everybody again, and I think society is changing and shifting.
Okay.
But for many years, they were conditioned to like not talk about their feelings.
All right, hold on 1 second, Tiffany. So Chris DePiero, what's the connection problem? Is it the sound, or somebody says, I'm not sure you're having audio issues, but I cannot see you or hear you. Okay.
Oh, no.
So that's all right. Just hang on. Maybe it'll come back because this is coming through. Is anybody else having that issue? All right.
They can't hear you. Maybe they don't know to say yes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe they don't know. Well, let's just keep doing what we're doing because it's still going through.
The thing would tell you.
Where's
Yeah,
the little
so-
thing that tells you about the volume? Is that there?
It's right. It was underneath there, but now we're going live. So I mean, it still says live and it's still ticking away. So we're still sometimes things pop in and out. But
All right.
okay, so let me just check the time. Okay, so we have 20 minutes left. So one of the things that I do want to talk about if we're having issues, and I do want to talk about our food, so that while we're correcting that, yes. So thank you, Judy. All right, so this is our eggplant tonight. The reason I made eggplant parmesan is because when I was at Judy's, as Darcy was running her race, I asked you guys what you would like and who's a vegetarian, who isn't. And I think both of you said eggplant, but you weren't even there, and they already chose the eggplant.
Yes.
So tonight, Joe Savino, we are having eggplant. Joe's been asking me to...
Oh my God, it's so
Yes,
delicious.
Joe's been asking me to make eggplant for the longest time. So there is our eggplant. And then, of course, I made a delicious salad. You know, I'm a big fan of salads.
Good to have that.
That's happening there. And then, of course, for dessert, I asked Judy. I said, Judy, what should I get for dessert? And she said, no dessert. And so, of course, I got chocolate Napoleon. Because,
It's amazing.
yeah, no dessert to me means you don't want dessert, but I still want dessert. So,
I want dessert. So
yeah, I had to go with an Italian kind of theme there. Okay, so we're going to keep, what I'm going to do right now, I want you guys to tell me where you're at, and I'm going to check on my phone what's happening with Facebook. But
Okay.
tell me where you're at in the writing process. You've written let me get this out of you, I'm sorry. So you've already written one season, right? One whole season?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
So what sort of happens with a writing process is that you start like with the pilot, and you start with an arc, with a season arc, then you write the pilot, and then we continued to write, I think we got to like episode 3 or 4, and then as you continue to write, you flesh out the world more, which makes you then want to go back and rewrite the pilot. So then we went back and rewrote the pilot, which now we have an even better pilot. And so now at this point, we're going forward and we're doing rewrites on Epi 2 and Epi 3 and Epi 4. And then we will continue on from there. But it's constantly shifting and changing. And that's the writing process. If you talk to any writer,
Right.
I think they would get that that's the world. Now, once we get paid and we're doing it full time in a room, then it gets a lot more organized. But right now, as we're just exploring and expressing and getting it together, that's what.
Well, I would say that with anything, that's a whole different thing. Anything creative. So we got. If you can hear us, or give us some thumbs up or all that stuff, because I just saw some thumbs up coming through and hearts and all that stuff. I found this to be the kind of thing that sometimes will come in and out. But for the most part, then once you save the video, it is fully recorded. So I find that most things creatively do change.
Yeah.
From when you first get the idea to when you do follow through. And for me personally, I find that you have to be open. Don't be so married to an idea that you can't separate from it sometimes. And how do you guys separate? So what do you individually do? Like, do you find that you're, Christina, I'll ask you, do you find that you're more creative if you do take a step back? Or are you someone that likes to sit at their desk and write? Or do you like to go for a jog? When are you most creative as a writer?
Right. I think I have to work in short time bursts.
Okay,
I find I can sit there and get inspired, and I will go for a solid 45 minutes, just go, and then I need to step away.
Right. Okay.
And I need to go take a break. I need to do something else. And other times I'll come and I'll sit down and I'll just be stuck, and I won't know what to do. And in that case, I don't even sit there. I walk away immediately, go take a run, go do some yoga, go do something physical.
Okay, all right, that's good. And actually, that's what you should be doing. They said that the human brain can only do 20 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you want to, I mean, that's like if you're in a class, that's why it's important to take a break and let people absorb things. But I always found as a writer, like if I was writing comedy or whatever it was, that the best thing I can do to be creative is do something completely different. So wash dishes, get in my car. When I'm in my car, forget it. My brain just starts going. And I used to carry, and back in the day when we had those little tape recorders, to carry those and then sometimes just talk into it.
You can do voice memo on the iPhone now.
Yeah,
I've done that.
Have you?
Yeah, it's really good.
And what do you mean, like ideas or just
ideas or remember this line that's really funny or think about for episode blah 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 or questions or
I have a note-taking app on my phone, and I just there's a TikTok ideas.
Oh, really? Okay.
That I'm constantly adding to, so that way, as I'm doing other things and little things pop up that I may not have time to explore in that moment, I can get them down to explore.
That's true. Yeah, you have to do that. I've been carrying a notebook around since for 30 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a line that I think that would be really good in the song, or just a title, that'd be great. Right. Or just something, because you think you're going to remember it, but there's no way. We have millions of thoughts that come through our heads and stimuli all around us, and especially in New York City, there's so much going on, and then you're thinking, oh, I have to go there tomorrow, and I have to do this and that and that.
And we definitely refer back to that, when we're writing.
Yeah.
If we're getting stuck, we know we need a joke, but we can't think of anything, and we just feel flat, we'll go to that list, and we'll run down, and sure enough, something will jump out, and be like, that is perfect right there.
You know my friend Susie used to do? We used to write, we've written 3 comedy shows, with 5 different characters each, and that we each play 5 different characters. What we used to do is get a tape recorder, improv, so she would say, okay, your character, my character, and let's just put ourselves in a bakery, and here's our challenge. And we would just save a stream of consciousness, just improv. She would record it, and then she would go back, listen to the whole thing. I mean, she was very methodical in how she would type the whole thing out, and then we would go back and edit and rewrite a lot of the jokes.
That's actually how I started writing. That was my exact process when I first started writing, because I was an actor first for many years, and I had this wonderful acting teacher that would really encourage spontaneous improv and monologues and whatever on whatever thing we were going through in our life. And I did this spontaneous monologue situation, and she told me, you should record that and you should type it out and try to rewrite it because it's really great. And I did that. That was the very first thing I ever wrote. And then for a long time, that was sort of my process. And we also have done that in the writer's room, or we'll improvise, we'll jump into character, because we're all actors. And so the storytelling method comes out very easily when we jump into character. And we'll start playing our characters, or playing that moment.
Yes. Absolutely.
And then more and more comes very naturally.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with that. Being in your character and just being a vessel.
Yeah.
I find that as that actor/writer place is actually so beautiful.
Yeah.
If you just and you girls are great. I'm sure you're great at it. I mean, and I love doing it too. Just letting go and letting that character come through. Like one time, Susie and I were writing, and we wanted to write a scene as our moms, and we thought, oh, we should. We sat there and tried to think what our moms would say, and then we were like, wait a minute. Let's just be our moms. Stop thinking about what our moms would say. They would, first of all, be talking to each other about us, their husbands, their lives. And we ended up, it was the most beautiful part of our show was our mothers exchanging just naturally. Because both of us just did let our moms come through. Did their accents. did all that stuff. And that's when the writing really happens.
Yeah.
And another time I was trying to write as my mother a monologue, and I just called her. And I said, Ma, if you had a chance to be on stage and say what you wanted to say in 5 minutes, what would it be? And she just started like pouring it out. And I recorded it. I was like, that's what she wants the world to know. Wow. So when I got up on stage, I said, my daughter, she asked me, if I have 5 minutes on the stage, what am I going to say? And I just let my mother talk. And so, stuff like that is like so cool. So which takes me to my next question. Do you feel, let me just check the time. Okay, we're good. We've got about 10 minutes left. Do you feel, so we're definitely running because people are, do you feel attached to your characters? Do you feel, do you ever feel annoyed by them? Pressured by them?
I think sometimes I get scared that what we write is going to happen.
Like, what do you mean?
Like,
so interesting.
It does. It's like life in art MT's like, yeah.
You mean in your particular life, if you were to write your character, something happening, it's going to, you put it out into the universe.
In a way, yeah.
Now, you said you were Greek and Italian?
I'm half Greek and half Italian.
Okay, well, that makes complete sense because we're very superstitious. Right? Oh, my God. And
actually also have.
It happened a little
Tiffany
bit.
is case in point.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tiffany, we were talking about ethnicities before, so you said that you are?
I'm half Mexican and half white, which is mostly Scottish.
Okay.
I just like to say that I'm the whitest Mexican ever.
All right. Well,
totally is.
Because I'm so white, really, on the inside.
I try to read Spanish.
I speak, I'm fluent in Spanish. Tiffany.
Well, it's not my fault. So here's the deal, is that I grew up in Texas. I'm actually call myself Texican.
Okay.
Very specific. Because only in the bottom part of Texas, I feel like there's a very specific type of Mexican.
Okay.
Which my father is from.
So your father's Mexican.
So my father's Mexican. He's not actually from Mexico. His entire family is from Texas. They were there before the white people.
Oh my God.
I know this is hard to believe, but there were brown people in America before there were white people.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Not fake news.
The hell?
That's not fake news.
And especially in
Jesus,
the border towns.
wait a minute. Jesus, apparently someone told me the other day, was not white and blue-eyed. I mean, crazy.
I know.
These things,
this
right?
is like, we're really getting into like what. But because my father experienced so much racism, even though he was absolutely American, his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather like founded Padre Island. Like these people were all from Texas before Texas was even America. Was even part of America. But because he experienced so much racism, he did not want to teach us Spanish. He did not want to give us Mexican names. And my mother was white, and in the end, I ended up growing up in the whitest of suburbs of Texas, and, was just basically made white. So I'm like this sort of... So what really people think usually is that I just have a really good tan.
Well, you know what?
Which is great, I mean, by the way.
I'm going to disagree with you. I mean, maybe that is what people do think, but I completely got Latina.
Oh,
when I
very fiery.
Yeah, well, but that's great. But I got that, and when I was watching the series.
Oh, good.
Yes, yeah. I got that, and what I got was, and Christina, you have like this very broad, like you could be Moroccan, you could be Greek, you could be Italian, you could be a Latina, you could be so many different things.
Albanian.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
And
I can be one thing.
No, but Judy, you guys completely represent different things. And Judy, you represent that Scottish, Irish, Welsh, that part of the world that you know what I mean? It's like I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean in a good way. Like when you watch the show, it's like you have covered all the bases, but it's not like so specific. Like, okay, well, there's the Latina, there's the white girl. It's just you can represent a lot of different people.
Well, one of our goals right off the bat was that we're shooting in New York. We want it to look like New York. Yep. When you get on any subway, you see a kaleidoscope of people.
Yes,
absolutely, in New York.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about New York.
So what we found to be interesting in both the desire from networks now to push diversity and our interest in having a diverse cast is we initially said we're going to put a thing at the top of the casting breakdown of the character sheet that says we want to see New York, we want to see the kaleidoscope of cultures, cast whatever you want for any of these roles.
Wow.
Open ethnicity.
And
that's
the problem
wonderful.
with that is that
with
the
New York.
default, unfortunately, when someone is reading a script, unless you specify their ethnicity, they go to white in their mind.
Really?
Yes, this is what we learned.
And you know what? I did not.
Like, it needs to be more diverse, and we're like, it is diverse.
We're like, please notice that we said in the top, but the thing is
whatever you want.
In the character descriptions where, when like my character's seen for the very first time, if I don't say Latina or if I don't say Mexican,
right,
then they're just going to assume that I'm white. And that was something we learned from the industry.
Wow, really?
And everybody was like, oh yeah, no, you got to put that in there. Like they will automatically think you're just writing about white people. And
isn't that interesting?
That was a big lesson.
We went back and looked, and then I think in a way it was ultimately to our benefit because we got to think even more specifically about characters and how they would affect or react or respond, to what's going on in the
because that
show. And
different cultures have different pressures about the biological clock. So it actually forced us to get even more
that's
specific,
really good. You're right.
About what the character was going through depending on what their cultural background was.
Yeah. Wow.
So we have that in there. Of course we want to have a lot of women represented of all different ages. That's one thing that we want in there.
And Judy, you are Irish or Scottish or what is your?
Mostly English.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
And some German.
Oh, cool. All right.
One of my sisters did our whole genealogy, but I haven't actually read through it all. So
yeah. No, so one of the things that I go on a lot of commercial auditions and I will always end up on callbacks. It'll be me, 2 black girls, and a redhead.
Yeah.
And so what that tells me,
they don't know what they want.
But it also tells me they're looking for feisty.
Yeah,
redheads feisty?
Yes, of course. Redheads are very feisty. So it's because I think, okay, I know what they want here now. They're looking for just that edge. Yeah. Because, yes, redheads fall under the feist category, for sure. And definitely the black girls are definitely, if it's me, the black girls and the redhead, it's feist they're looking for.
Yeah.
So I find that it's almost like and certain casting directors will be vague, but then if they give me a little bit of we need a little edge, then I kind of know what they want.
Right.
Yeah. Or things like that. So
I go out for a lot of ethnically ambiguous.
Yeah.
Which I find to be such a...
Does that bother you?
It's very confusing.
It's a very confusing
I don't think so. I mean,
To me, I wonder, I feel like it's just sort of their way of being like, we want a little ethnicity, but we don't really know.
But you know what? I'll tell you what I think.
A little ethnicity.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. And then the other part of me says, see, this is why that ambiguous, what's the word? Ambiguous, right.
It's a great
is
word.
Good because New York is so diverse that you do have people that are from the Middle East, you have people that are from Europe, you have people that are, just Latinas. Let's just take Latinas, for instance. You have South America, you have Mexico, you have Colombia, you have Cuba, you have Honduras, you have right.
Yeah.
So it's not just and some of them. I mean, the gamut. If you get from Spain all the way to there's such a difference. And like Judy, my Judy gets she's Cuban, but lots of times people think she's from the Middle East.
Yeah.
She'll get that.
My boyfriend's Puerto Rican, and he's played.
Many
different ethnicities.
I didn't know he was Puerto Rican, right? And I would put him under that. He could that exact same category. He could play so many different, And I think that's actually a good thing. If you have that quality, that's a good thing. So I think Jimmy, how much time we have? I think we're
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay, so we want to thank you. I'm going to have the girls back. So if there's anybody out there from HBO, from Netflix, from Amazon, from Showtime, you want to get a hold of the girls, tell me your website again.
TikTokSeries.com.
Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you
on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us on What's the Story with Maria. You can find us on iHeartRadio and podcast and Spreaker and armsdigitalmedia.com. Come back every week, 9 p.m. Tuesdays. Woo!